Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Suddenly, everyone shifted their attention back to Cecilia. They were wondering who was the rich person who booked 10,000 showings. Who is this big shot, Ms. Lance? That's right. Do you have a new lover, Ms. Lance? Who are they? Can you give us a little info about them? Everyone, please calm down. Actually, I don't really want anyone to book showings for my movies. I just hope that those who come to watch my movie at the cinema are the people who like it. My friend cares for me and treats me very well, which is why she did something like this. For that, I'm very thankful for her, Cecilia answered. A friend? Are you two really just friends? What kind of friend would single-handedly book 10,000 showings for your movie? This is unprecedented. The best kind of friends, the type who stays with me forever. Cecilia smiled. I really like Sophie, but I don't want her to spend so much money. I just want her to attend the movie premiere. The current me no longer needs her protection, as I'm capable of taking care of things now. In fact, I want it to be my turn to protect her and help her. Still, I'm very touched that she's still looking out for me even now. I'm very fortunate to have a friend like her. Is your friend present in this hall right now, Ms. Lance? Can you invite her up the stage so she can share a few words with us? The host asked. I don't think that's a good idea. She's someone who prefers to keep a low profile. So please, I'm asking everyone here to not bother her or try to dig out any information about her. However, I believe even if all the hackers in the world were to come out and try to find information about her, it's no guarantee that they'll succeed. Cecilia was absolutely confident in Sophie's ability. Come on, Ms. Lance. We won't disturb her. We just want to ask her a few questions. I appreciate your care for me, but today's focus should be on the movie, no? I hope everyone will pay attention to the film because a lot of people worked hard on it, and I don't want their efforts to go unnoticed. Everyone knows the people who work the hardest on a movie are the crew, so please don't overlook the hard work they had poured into this project. Tristan personally witnessed Sophie booking 10,000 showings for Cecilia and posting her message on Twitter. Seems like she cares a lot about Cecilia since she's doing her best to help her. What followed in the press conference were questions about Cecilia. Finally, it was time for everyone to watch the movie on the big screen. Sophie paid great attention to it. The story in the movie was really similar to their youth. When the movie ended, Sophie was in tears. Tristan pulled out a tissue paper from his pocket and gave it to her. This movie is pretty good. Cecilia sure can act, he commented. The ending theme was already playing. It was a very pleasant Chilean song sung by a diva. Before it finished, Sophie stood and left the hall. When Sophie returned to the lounge, Cecilia threw herself into her embrace. She was basically hanging on Sophie's body. Her manager couldn't bear to look at that. Ms. Tanner appears to be a few kilos lighter than Cecilia. Doesn't she feel bad for hanging herself like a bear on Ms. Tanner? Since you're so rich now, how about I stop acting and become your sugar baby instead? We'll go on a trip around the world. Cecilia said emotionally. Aside from Sophie, no one would be willing to book 10,000 showings for her. When she finished speaking, she kissed Sophie on the cheek. Tristan's expression was just like a violent storm when he saw that. Upon seeing his expression, Sophie thought it was amusing. This man sure is possessive. In order to avoid pissing him off further, she gently pushed Cecilia away. That was a very good movie. Well, of course. My title isn't for show, you know. Cecilia was very confident in her acting skills. Some actors worked hard, but because they didn't have the talent, they couldn't make a name. On the contrary, some actors had the talent, and if they worked hard just a little bit, they would be able to back various international awards home. Cecilia clearly belonged to the second type. She wanted to hug Sophie again. I really like acting, but it takes up so much of my time that I can't spend time with you, Sophie. When Sophie was at her lowest point in life back then, Cecilia went to Horrington to visit her. However, before she could meet her, she was dragged away by her manager. She carried a pang of guilt towards Sophie because of that. Sophie held her delicate chin and said, "You don't need to feel guilty, Cecilia. I'm doing fine right now, and you're perfect, too. This is the best achievement any of us can hope for." Cecilia hugged Sophie tightly. "Yeah. I always believe that you'll return. Gypsdale is your territory and Willow isn't your opponent at all. That's why I believe we'll meet again in Gypsdale." At that moment, Tristan felt like he should just let them be. "I guess I'll forgive Cecilia's extreme behavior earlier, considering how close she is to Sophie." Sophie then went to the restroom, leaving Tristan and Cecilia in the room. "I'm warning you for the last time, Cecilia. If you kiss Sophie like that again, don't blame me for what vicious things I'll do," he warned. He never thought there would come a day when he needed to threaten a woman. "Humph." Cecilia ignored him. "I'm not afraid of him when I have Sophie supporting me." "Cecilia Lance," he exclaimed. "I know Sophie longer than you, so of course, our relationship with each other is stronger than yours." She stared at him fearlessly. "The people in Gypsdale may be afraid of you, Mr. Tristan, but I'm not. I'm warning you, if you hurt Sophie even a tiny bit, I won't let you off even after I die." She knew Sophie treated Tristan differently. After all, there was never a man by her side for many years. Tristan was the first one. From the looks of it, Sophie didn't seem to hate Tristan either. Cecilia felt sad to notice that because she believed Sophie deserved only the best the world can offer. However, Tristan was probably the best person anyone would think of in Gypsdale. Naturally, she would be happy if Sophie could find happiness. "Don't worry. I won't hurt her. Even if the person who hurts her ends up being me, I won't let myself off either," Tristan promised. "I didn't expect the legendary Mr. Tristan from Gypsdale to be this loyal and dedicated," Cecilia couldn't help but mock. As she still had a celebration party she needed to attend, she couldn't leave with Sophie. However, she personally saw Sophie out. There were a lot of reporters waiting outside, so Sophie stopped Cecilia. "It's fine. Everyone is waiting for you." She wanted to send Cecilia back first. "How about I just run away with you too?" That idea suddenly popped into Cecilia's mind. "Oh my God. I am begging you now, Cecilia. The director is waiting for you." Her manager immediately dragged her back the moment she heard that. After watching Cecilia leave, Sophie turned to look at Tristan, who seemed glad. "Is it because Cecilia was taken away?" Tristan immediately held Sophie's hand and pulled her toward him. "What are you doing?" questioned Sophie, still looking at the man who had just locked her in his arms. Tristan had grown to enjoy holding Sophie like that. On the other hand, the young woman turned bright red because of how close they were. "Let go of me, Mr. Tristan." Even some as cold as Sophie could not help but blush when Tristan flirted with her like that. He then tightened his arms around Sophie. "Since they're all busy, you are all mine now." Sophie immediately chuckled upon hearing that, for she never expected Tristan to say anything like that. "Let's go. I still owe you a meal, don't I?" Since there was not much else to do, Sophie decided to treat him to a meal. "That's more like it." Tristan was easily satisfied. Even though Sophie had promised to buy the young man a meal, she had no idea where to go. "Is there anything you'd like?" inquired Sophie, tilting her head. Tristan was stunned for a moment as he stared at the young woman's soft pink lips. "Yes. What is it?" Sophie was glad she did not have to waste time figuring out where to go since Tristan already had something in mind. "You." Sophie was dumbfounded once again when she heard Tristan's answer. What's wrong with this guy? Is he going to keep this up all day? Seeing the woman like that, Tristan immediately held her head to give her a wet kiss. Only after breathing a sigh of satisfaction did Tristan take Sophie to a fancy restaurant. The young woman could still taste Tristan on her lips when they reached the expensive-looking and exquisitely decorated restaurant. Most of the customers there were couples, so it was not surprising to see many of them kissing. Since the atmosphere at the restaurant was incredibly romantic, The couples were more passionate than usual. However, the scene was nothing but an eyesore to Sophie since she did not think the public display of affection was appropriate. When she unconsciously glanced at Tristan, the young man simply shrugged. "Just so you know, I didn't plan for you to see this. It was Felix who recommended the place." Sophie pretended to be calm, but a gentleman beside her had already reached into his date's skirt. She had no choice but to calmly look away. "Are you sure you don't want to go somewhere else?" Sophie had lost her appetite already. "This is just too much." "It's fine. I got us a room." Tristan led Sophie to a private room, which the woman thought was much better than the rest of the place. Since it was warm inside, Tristan helped Sophie take her jacket off so he could hang it up. He then pulled the chair out before beckoning Sophie over to sit. By then, a waitress had already arrived to show them the menu. "What can I get you, Mr. Tristan?" inquired the beautiful waitress after handing a tablet to Tristan. "What would you like?" The young man remained standing behind Sophie so they could share the tablet. Sophie was a little uneasy when Tristan leaned on her. "So?" The man had a deep and magnetic voice that sounded alluring, which made Sophie's heart race. At that point, she was convinced that Tristan enjoyed teasing her very much. After going through the menu, Sophie ordered steak and salad. When she turned around to ask what Tristan wanted, the man's lips brushed over her cheek. Sophie immediately froze like a statue. "I'll have whatever you're having," Tristan whispered into Sophie's ear before taking the tablet from her. The young woman almost jumped to her feet when Tristan breathed into her ear because that was the most sensitive part of her body. After that, Tristan sat down beside Sophie so that it would be easier for him to take care of her. "So why isn't Isabelle coming?" Sophie was a little worried about Isabelle because they had already agreed to meet, and her friend would never stand her up for no reason. In response, Tristan unlocked his phone to play a video before handing the device to Sophie. After watching the video, the young woman looked a little displeased. The video was shot from Isabelle's front. Even though Sophie was also in it, she could only be seen from the side. On top of that, the dim lighting at the karaoke bar made it difficult for anyone unfamiliar with her to recognize her. "Your family don't want her to be a singer, right?" Sophie heard about it from Isabelle, but she did not think the situation was that serious. "Yes. My brother has a deep-seated prejudice against the entertainment industry." "What will Isabelle do now?" Sophie then quickly took her phone out to call her friend. Meanwhile, Isabelle was in a bad mood. When she received Sophie's call, she hurried into her room before answering. "I'm sorry, Sophie. Something came up. It was never my intention to bail on you." Isabelle hated being stood up and believed that her friend felt the same way. "It's fine. Are you okay?" Hearing how concerned Sophie was about her, Isabelle immediately lightened up. "I am. Don't worry," assured Isabelle with a smile. "Good. Do you need me to pick you up?" Sophie could figure something out if her friend still wanted to meet her. "No. Sophie, I think I should stay home for the next 2 days. Even though I have no plan to become an artist just yet, I'm more determined to do so after seeing that video. I will become a singer no matter what my father thinks." Isabelle had made up her mind, so nobody could convince her otherwise. "You have my support." Sophie agreed that Isabelle should not give up. It's her dream to be a singer, and she has every right to pursue it. "Talk to you later. My grandfather's coming." Isabelle knew her grandfather would be worried about her since she did not have dinner. Even after calling Isabelle, Sophie was still worried about her friend. "Mr. Tristan, will you help Isabelle?" The young woman was confident that the other Lombards would listen to Tristan because of his position in the family. The steak had already been served, and Tristan had thoughtfully cut it up for Sophie. "Sophie, this is Isabelle's fight. If she wants to be in the entertainment industry, the first thing she has to learn is how to stand up for herself. Unlike those in the industry, our family would never do anything to hurt her. I don't think she's fit to be an artist if she can't even handle our family." Naturally, Sophie knew he had a point, but as Isabelle's friend, she still wished that she could make her friend's path to pursue her dream easier. "That's enough chat about someone else. We don't always get to spend time together like this, you know. Tristan hoped that Sophie would focus on him for the moment. Isabel isn't someone else. She's your niece. So am I the reason you're so nice to Isabel? Tristan would consider talking to his brother if Sophie nodded. However, Sophie was never really good at sucking up to others. Instead of responding to Tristan the way he wanted, the woman started eating her steak. To that, Tristan let out a long sigh. I can tell that chasing after Sophie is not going to be easy. Far from it. Sophie took her time with her food. Looking at Tristan near her, she was in a good mood and felt comfortable about spending time alone with the man. After Sophie was done with the steak, the two walked out of the restaurant. While Tristan went to get the car, Sophie waited outside the restaurant, where she never expected to meet Lorelei. Lorelei did not know Sophie. She only glanced at her a few times because she thought the young woman was exceptionally stunning. Lorelei only risked going out in public because she finally persuaded Clayton to take her to the fancy restaurant after much effort. Since she was quite popular then, Lorelei wore a hat and a large pair of sunglasses to hide her face. Seeing how Tristan had been gone for a while, Sophie decided to take her phone out to call the man. However, before she could do that, the fashionably dressed woman near her suddenly snatched her phone and violently threw it onto the ground. "Why were you taking pictures of me? Did somebody send you here to follow me?" questioned Lorelei rudely. After her terrible experience at the press conference that day, Lorelei never thought she would bump into a paparazzo there. Sophie's eyes turned icy cold as she stared at her phone lying on the floor. "Pick it up," ordered Sophie, who was itching for a fight. Her voice was frightfully cold. "Are you serious? Do you know who I am?" asked Lorelei arrogantly. "If you get out of my sight now, I'll pretend none of this has happened. Otherwise, my fans will give you hell." The famous woman had fans who were quite crazy. In response to the threat, Sophie knitted her eyebrows tightly. "Didn't you hear me? Pick it up," repeated the young woman in a louder voice. Lorelei scoffed at Sophie before looking away. "Why the heck would I listen to a paparazzo? I'm the hottest artist there is right now, and I'm not afraid of anyone." Then, passers-by began to gather around them to see what was going on. Hence, Lorelei decided it was the perfect time to let people see that she was with Clayton and have her popularity bumped up even further. "I only requested that you delete the photos you took of me. There's no reason to get upset," stated Lorelei calmly after removing her sunglasses on purpose. As expected, the crowd grew even bigger right after Lorelei showed her face. "My goodness. What's going on? Hey look. It's Lorelei Crawford." "You're right. Wow, she looks stunning. It's almost unbelievable how beautiful she is." "That's not the point. The point is she's at a restaurant where couples frequent. That must mean she's here with Clayton Zales. I think the woman beside Lorelei looks pretty too." "I know, right? She's probably even prettier than some artists." At first, Lorelei was happy with the praises she had received. However, after hearing about the crowd's admiration for Sophie, she got jealous. Lorelei could not deny that Sophie was good-looking, which was why she worried that Clayton would see the young woman later. The man's interest in her was waning, and she knew it. Lorelei always had to put in much effort just to have a meal with Clayton. She even tried to climb into the man's bed to be in his good graces, but to no avail. "I'm so sorry. I may be a public figure, but I value my privacy. I only did it because you kept coming after me." Lorelei then picked up Sophie's phone from the ground and handed it back to the woman. "I think it's broken, so why don't you give me your number? I'll have my manager compensate you for your loss." After listening to Lorelei, Sophie furrowed her eyebrows again. "With that level of acting skills, I doubt you'll ever win an award," mocked Sophie, who found Lorelei's acting hilarious. The actress' face immediately turned grim when she was humiliated, for she had always hated it when people commented on her poor acting skills. No matter how hard she tried, she still failed to surpass Cecilia. "I can give you my autograph if you ask nicely, little girl. Your hostility was completely uncalled for." "Yeah, Artists are just like us. Just because you're a fan doesn't give you the right to disturb her. That's right. You're the worst kind of fan. You have nothing better to do than to harass them. It's disgusting. When some of the people started sneering at Sophie, many followed suit. So what if she's got good looks? She's probably wicked on the inside. Naturally, Lorelai was pleased with herself when the crowd reacted the way she wanted. How's that for acting skills? I bet she regrets undermining my acting skills now. I think we're done here, don't you? If I were you, I'd leave right now. It's not like your phone's worth much anyway. Remember, it's a crime to take someone's photo without permission. Stop while you still can. Lorelai thought Sophie was afraid of her since the young woman stayed silent, so she proudly held her head high. I know you're a fan, but you've got to stop doing this, okay? Scoffing, Sophie could not believe the words that came out of Lorelai's mouth. Now I know why Cecilia didn't seem to like her. I don't even know who you are, so why would I secretly take photos of you? What proof do you have? I just told you we're done here, so why do you insist on dragging this out? What's the point? I don't know what you have in mind, but I have more important things to do. Lorelai did not wish to continue with the subject, so she turned around and was ready to leave. Immediately, Sophie grabbed Lorelai by the hair and pulled the woman back. Nobody expected that Sophie would be so bold as to pull Lorelai's hair. The actress stumbled a few steps backward when Sophie did that and felt as if the young lady was about to pull her scalp off her skull. What do you think you're doing? This is out of line. Lorelai was furious but dared not show it or retaliate, for she knew that would compromise her image in the entertainment industry. I didn't take photos of you secretly, but you broke my phone. You even put on a show for the crowd, and you think you can just walk away? Sophie was not about to let Lorelai get away scot-free after the actress had wrongly accused her. If this is how she wants to play it, so be it. Nobody in Gypsdale can take advantage of me. I've just told you that I'm not pressing charges. What more do you want? Lorelai wanted nothing more than to get out of the situation because of how embarrassing it was to get her hair pulled like that. At that moment, Clayton pulled up outside the restaurant. When the man saw Lorelai arguing with a young lady, he got out of his car and went over. Lorelai began to panic when she saw Clayton walking toward them, for she knew he disliked how she always caused a scene in public. The fact that Lorelai got so much attention did not help with the situation she was in either. What's going on? Didn't I ask you to wait for me here? How did it end up like this? With so many people surrounding them, Clayton realized that keeping a low profile was no longer an option. Clayton, I didn't do it on purpose. We're only arguing because she secretly took photos of me. Now she's pulling my hair and refusing to let me go, explained Lorelai pitifully. Are you guys seeing this? It's really Clayton. I knew he and Lorelai had a thing going on. Do you believe me now? It is him. I didn't trust the media before because they didn't have solid proof. Gosh, I can't believe what I'm seeing now. Clayton is a tycoon in the entertainment industry, and being with the man probably means a bright future awaiting Lorelai. You're right. If you ask me, the two are a match made in heaven. Lorelai was more than glad when she heard the discussion. I knew it. Clayton and I are meant for each other, and everybody seems to think so too. At that moment, Clayton could not help noticing how Sophie had raised her eyebrow when she looked at others. Even though the young woman did not do it deliberately, it was hard for anyone to ignore it. When Lorelai caught Clayton looking at Sophie, she quickly grabbed the man's hand. What are you looking at? Questioned Lorelai jealously. Missy, did you really take pictures of Lorelai? If so, delete them, and we'll call it even. Although Clayton thought Sophie was outstandingly good-looking, he had better things to do and would rather not waste more of his time. What makes you think I want to call it even? Ms. Crawford here not only slandered me but also broke my phone, so I believe you two owe me an explanation. How would you like to be compensated then? With a new phone? Inquired Clayton nonchalantly. Not just that. I want an apology from Ms. Crawford. Everybody here heard how she accused me of secretly taking photos of her. Then, I must still have the pictures on my phone. If that's not the case, it's only right that she apologizes to me, no? After listening to Sophie, Clayton immediately became more interested in the young lady. It looks like she's not the kind who'd go down without a fight. What are you going on about? You're just trying to hook up with Clayton because he's rich and handsome. Trust me, you're not the first to try. Lorelai despised Sophie because she thought she had the young woman all figured out. Sophie instinctively frowned at Lorelai after hearing that. Are all female artists this insufferable these days? Does she seriously think every woman in the world is out to steal her boyfriend? It's not like he's the most attractive man on earth. I think Lorelai is right. This young woman is obviously trying to hook up with Clayton because of how rich and handsome he is. Are all young women this desperate these days? If that's the case, I'd say this young woman is a pretty crafty one. She knew she'd be able to find Clayton by stalking Lorelai. That's really scary. Women these days are all the same. They'll gladly spread their legs in bed as long as the other party is rich enough. The crowd's discussion only served to boost Lorelai's confidence. It seems I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Everybody here agrees with me. I'm tired, Clayton. Let's leave, pleaded Lorelai with puppy dog eyes because she would rather not give anyone a chance to get close to Clayton. How can we leave when we haven't resolved this matter yet? Questioned Clayton rhetorically with his eyes still fixed on Sophie. Come on, Clayton. Lorelai started to get nervous again. Why is he even listening to a stranger? Has he fallen for her? Clayton went over to pick up the phone from the ground and intended to check if photos of Lorelai were on it. However, he could not turn on the device since it was already broken. Clayton shrugged helplessly before saying, I'm not sure how we're going to prove your innocence since there's no way to turn on the phone. What do you say we call it even? Then, Sophie approached the man to take her phone, and as he said, the device was no longer working. Seeing how things had come to that, Lorelai was relieved. She has no choice but to accept her fate now. As I said, I'm not pressing charges, so we're done here. Let's go, Clayton. It's freezing out here. That's why Lorelai's so popular. What a forgiving person she is. That's true. The young woman is obviously at fault here, yet she had the audacity to raise her voice. Do you guys think she's trying to gain attention by causing a scene just because she knows she's pretty? After all, Lorelai is a celebrity who has the attention of countless people. She probably knew she was bound to be noticed if she got Lorelai involved. That has to be it. Who does this young woman think she is to bully Lorelai? Forget about it, Clayton. She's just a young woman, after all. Let's put this behind us. Lorelai thought she did a pretty good job portraying herself as a forgiving person. What a hypocrite, cursed Sophie, which was not something she would do lightly. How dare you? Lorelai did not expect Sophie to call her that. She wanted to retaliate, but since the crowd was still around, she decided to swallow her words. Lorelai then gave Clayton a pitiful look before turning back to Sophie. I know you think Clayton's incredibly attractive, but you can't keep harassing us like this. I'm the one he loves, so I'm afraid you'll have to find someone else. When Lorelai finished speaking, she turned to look at Clayton. She was delighted that the man did not disagree with her. Even though he doesn't say it, I'm sure he loves me. Otherwise, he would have corrected me. What makes you think I have any interest in him? He's not even worthy of my time. You can't be serious. Don't you know who he is? Just ask anybody here, and I bet they'll have no trouble telling you his name. Lorelai was confident that everyone in Gypsdale knew who Clayton was. Immediately, the crowd began discussing among themselves again. They thought Sophie was shameless and could not believe that she did not know Clayton. The man is mentioned in the newspaper more frequently than any artist. At that moment, Tristan finally drove over and saw the crowd surrounding Sophie. After parking his car by the roadside, he approached the scene. The crowd wouldn't be able to recognize Tristan because his existence in Gypsdale was rather mysterious. Although a lot of people had heard of his name and knew that Gypsdale was basically controlled by the Lombard family, no one from their social class had ever seen him in person. When he saw how solemn she looked, he walked up to her and held her hand. Tristan's gaze turned grim when he spotted Clayton. At the same time, Clayton was surprised to see his archenemy there. What a coincidence. So, this young girl is with Tristan. Things are getting more interesting now. What's going on? Are they bullying you? Tristan lowered his head and asked. Upon seeing how Tristan was treating Sophie, Clayton's interest was piqued. It seems like they're quite close. Clayton, who is he? Lorelai didn't know Tristan, and she had never seen him in person. However, she was aware of how handsome Tristan was. He looks even more dashing than the young idols in the entertainment industry. Besides, that demeanor of his is frightening. He's someone you'll never be able to interact with in your life, Clayton replied truthfully. He hated Tristan a lot, and he had tried numerous times to get rid of Tristan. However, his attempts were futile. What should we do now? Lorelai asked. What do you mean? Didn't you say that young girl was taking photos of you secretly? Lorelai couldn't help but feel nervous. Well, that young girl did point her phone at me. However, it's not like I've seen the photos on her phone. What if it was just a misunderstanding? The only reason she was acting brazenly earlier was because she thought Sophie was someone without any background. Things had changed, though. She could feel a chill running down her spine upon receiving a casual glance from Tristan. They said I was trying to seduce Ms. Crawford's boyfriend, and that's why I've been following them around and taking photos of them secretly. As Sophie was telling Tristan what had happened, she couldn't help but feel amused. Who would have thought that there comes a day when I'm accused of taking photos of someone secretly? The funniest part is that my target is a low-grade star. I'm so sorry, but I think there must be a misunderstanding. Because of how scary Tristan was, Lorelai apologized immediately. No matter what, we should just get this conflict sorted out. Hey, young man. Your girlfriend did take photos of someone secretly. Just let it slide, okay? You know where the Zales family stands in Gypsdale, right? You'll be in trouble if you mess with them, a kind-hearted man cautioned Tristan. I doubt they know what they're getting themselves into. That was the first time Tristan was told that he couldn't afford to mess with the Zales family. Mr. Zales, how do you plan on settling this conflict? Your woman crossed my girlfriend. We need to settle the score, no? Tristan asked. Upon hearing that, everyone at the scene was taken aback. None of them had expected Tristan to have the balls to talk to Clayton that way. Who exactly is this young man? Mr. Tristan, is this necessary? I bet this is all just a misunderstanding. Since no harm was done, perhaps we should just act as if nothing had happened. Unlike everyone else, Clayton was well aware of who he was dealing with. He had always schemed from behind the scene and avoided facing Tristan head-on because he knew exactly how scary he was. Mr. Tristan? Lorelai's knees went weak immediately. Based on her identity, there was no way she would ever have a chance to see Tristan. Since Clayton said this man is Mr. Tristan, that must be him. He's a legend and a myth in Gypsdale. Not only is he ruthless, but he's also cold-hearted. Fortunately for her, she managed to grasp Clayton's shirt just in time. Otherwise, she would have slumped to the ground. Mr. Tristan, out of respect for me, would you be willing to let this slide? Either way, Clayton had to protect Lorelai because she was his woman. Out of respect for you? Tristan thought he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. Mr. Zales, I barely know you. What kind of respect do you expect me to have for you? Tristan took Sophie's phone from her hand and pressed a few buttons. Just like that, he managed to switch on the phone. There were a lot of people nearby, but no one said a word. They were all looking at Tristan and wondering about what he was doing with the phone. After he switched the phone on, he pressed on the photo album. After looking through the photos, he tossed the phone to Lorelai. Ms. Crawford, please check if there's any photo of yours in there, will you? Lorelai's hands were trembling at that point. Even if there were photos of her in there, she wouldn't dare to say it. However, she could not find any. Lorelei couldn't even spit her words out. Most people in the entertainment industry would pay her the utmost respect. Hence, she had a false sense of superiority. That day, however, she had gotten herself into deep trouble, and there was nothing she could do to salvage the situation. "I'm sorry. I must have been wrong," Lorelei stammered. "Well, why are you apologizing to me for? You've got the wrong person." Tristan crossed his arms and looked down at her. "I'm truly sorry, little girl. I've misunderstood you. Please forgive me, okay?" Lorelei apologized. The crowd was stunned. Who is this man? How did he make Clayton's girlfriend beg for forgiveness? Now you're sorry. Where did your arrogance go? Sophie scoffed. She despised people like Lorelei. Since she dared to act haughtily, she should just maintain it. She's apologizing just because Tristan showed up. She's just a disgusting coward. Lorelei's legs could barely support herself, and she dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry. I get it now. I won't do such a thing again." Despite always being an arrogant person, Lorelei had no choice but to kneel and beg for forgiveness in front of Tristan. While that was happening, Clayton merely stood beside her and kept quiet. "Let's go." Tristan was unhappy with himself. "If I didn't answer the phone in the car just now, I wouldn't get caught up for so long, and she wouldn't have to endure everything on her own." She took the initiative and held his hand. It was as if she knew he was blaming himself for what had happened. "I'm fine, really. I'm not bothered by what they said." For some unknown reason, the more time she spent with Tristan, the more she didn't like to see him blaming himself. "Clayton, Lorelei knew how embarrassing that was, but that was the only thing she could do in Tristan's presence. Clayton interrupted her speech by saying, "Lorelei, I think this is the end for us. Don't come looking for me again." With that, Clayton went to his car and drove away. Lorelei panicked because she never expected things to turn out that way. If she knew that would happen, she wouldn't dare to mess with Sophie. "Clayton, I know I was wrong." Lorelei was on the verge of crying. "What is my life going to be like now that I've crossed Mr. Tristan? I've already sacrificed so much to get to where I am today. Well, you know who Tristan is, and what he's capable of. Yet, you went on to mess with his woman. You've got balls, all right." He wasn't scared of Tristan. However, he wasn't willing to make an enemy out of Tristan in public for a girl's sake. By then, the crowd was looking at her and murmuring among themselves. They were all talking about how Clayton had just dumped Lorelei. Clayton pushed through the crowd and left. She didn't dare to imagine how her life would be without Clayton by her side. Cecilia was livid when she saw the news that day. Unlike others, she knew who Lorelei was fighting with because she recognized Sophie at a glance. Lorelei is getting more and more ballsy, isn't she? Her bullying is getting out of hand. I've been busting my chops the whole afternoon because of the new movie, and Lorelei was busy bullying Sophie. All right, calm down, okay? Judging by the situation, I'm sure Ms. Tanner has already taught her a lesson. Isn't that good enough? Her agent tried to calm Cecilia down because it was foolish to cause trouble right after the release of the new movie. However, Cecilia couldn't let it slide. "I know Sophie is capable, but how could I not do anything knowing that she was bullied? I must do something for her as a friend." Her agent was feeling rather helpless. "Give me my phone. I need to teach her a lesson so that she knows what not to do," Cecilia uttered. Cecilia had never been involved in feuds in the entertainment industry. For Sophie's sake, however, she decided to have a go at it. Her agent was reluctant to pass Cecilia her phone. "Cecilia, why don't we just focus on making movies? Why must you waste time having feuds with other celebrities? I don't see the point of it." "Well, that's because I'm doing it for Sophie. Quick. Give me my phone." Cecilia knew her agent was unaware of the relationship she had with Sophie. Hence, Cecilia knew why the agent had advised her against doing so. However, it was something she was determined to do. Upon seeing how determined she was, The agent shook her head and passed Cecilia her phone. I hope this doesn't cause too big of a problem. The movie had just been released, and we have two of the main characters fighting against each other. I don't see how this will look good on any of them. Cecilia proceeded to upload a tweet on Lorelai's wall before giving her phone back to her agent. The agent's lips twitched when she saw what Cecilia tweeted. Wow. Cecilia knows what she's doing, doesn't she? Those are some nice words. Cecilia tweeted, Ms. Crawford said Sophie was trying to take a photo of her secretly. Does she not know that Sophie was the one who booked 10,000 showings in the afternoon? Considering that, would a person who had booked 10,000 showings take a photo of someone secretly? Who does Ms. Crawford think she is? A few moments after Cecilia tweeted, it was retweeted 100,000 times. All of a sudden, Lorelai was the talk of the town. When Lorelai finally arrived home, she saw her agent waiting for her with a grim expression. What's up? Lorelai didn't know what had happened on Twitter. Lorelai, how famous do you think you are? The agent was enraged. The movie was just released, and she had already done such a thing. Does she know how damaging this is? What is it? Lorelai thought she had already had enough bad news on her plate. What else can happen? See for yourself. The agent passed Lorelai her phone. Lorelai's facial expression changed dramatically when she saw the tweet Cecilia had uploaded. What should we do now? I didn't see this coming. Hey, you've helped me ever since I joined the entertainment industry. Will you help me deal with this now? I really don't know what to do. I didn't know that girl is associated with Mr. Tristan. Upon hearing that, the agent finally realized how Sophie could book the showings from Cecilia. What? Mr. Tristan? Are you talking about the Mr. Tristan? Initially, the agent thought she could weather the storm by organizing a press conference. However, she could only wave her hands in despair when she was told that Tristan was involved. Lorelai, do you remember what I told you the first day you entered the entertainment industry? I told you not to find trouble with Mr. Tristan, didn't I? You have the guts, all right. In that case, there's no need for a press conference. I think you should just pack up and leave. What? Are you really giving up on me? The movie had just been released, and things are going great. Help me, okay? Lorelai couldn't just give up on her career after all the sacrifices she had made. Her agent stepped away from Lorelai and stared coldly at her. Don't you get it? You're finished. The reason you're breathing now is that Mr. Tristan had shown you mercy. However, I don't know what's going to happen to you if you don't leave now. Think about it, will you? Did Mr. Zales say anything on your behalf when things went south? If even a person like Mr. Zales can't help you, what makes you think we can turn things around? Lorelai slumped to the ground when she heard that. I've struggled and fought for so long. Am I finished just because of a minor mistake? Is there nothing we can do? Lorelai couldn't bear to give up on her career. What's with my awful luck? The agent was unwilling to waste her time on the matter, so she turned around and left. Now, Lorelai is going to disappear from the entertainment industry for good. After getting home, Sophie went to take a shower and changed into her pajamas. That was when she received a call from Cecilia. Are you okay, Sophie? I know what happened between you and Lorelai. Don't worry. I'll teach her a lesson and make sure she ships out of the entertainment industry. Ever since she joined the industry, Cecilia had never been involved in a feud. However, she couldn't help it this time around because Lorelai messed with Sophie. Sophie frowned when she heard those words. Has the matter been blown out of proportion? It wasn't easy for you to build your name. I don't want you to tarnish it just because of something I've done. Stay out of it, okay? This has nothing to do with you. I know what to do to punish her, Sophie said. Sophie, why would you say that? What do you mean it has nothing to do with me? It has everything to do with me. When someone tries to slander you, they're slandering me as well. How could I stand by and watch? Cecilia was angry. Prior to that, she had never cared about Lorelai. However, she just wanted Lorelai dead when she crossed her bottom line. Oh, goodness. Having grown up with Cecilia, Sophie was well aware of her temper. That's it, okay? It's just Lorelei. She's done for. Okay. Cecilia knew Sophie would get annoyed if she were to carry on pursuing the matter. As an actress, isn't the state of your complexion important to you? Sleep early, okay? Hey, you're way more important to me compared to my complexion. If Cecilia were a man, she would definitely be a sweet talker. The two of them talked on the phone for quite a while before Cecilia reluctantly hung up. When Sophie came out of her room, Tristan was still in the living room. It's getting late, Sophie said. Tristan raised his gaze and glanced at Sophie. She was standing there with her auburn hair over her shoulders, looking as beautiful as always. He beckoned her over with his finger. Upon seeing that, Sophie walked up to him and stood in front of him. What? Didn't I tell you I'm fine? What makes you think I can't beat Lorelei? Sophie wasn't one to get bullied. I know you're very capable, Sophie. In fact, you can even fight off mercenaries. However, I'm still not willing to see you in any form of danger. Even if your counterpart has nothing on you, I would still stand by your side because I'm worried that you might get hurt. I don't think I can ever stay away from you. Do you know how I feel? Indeed, once someone had fallen in love, they would do anything in their power to keep their significant other safe and sound. He then suddenly held her waist and pulled her downward. Just like that, she was sitting on his lap. Before that, Sophie was standing in front of him. She couldn't help but feel that the position she was in was a little too intimate for her liking. Mr. Tristan! Sophie exclaimed in surprise. To her surprise, Tristan merely rested his head on her shoulder. Right then, she was overwhelmed with uncertainties. She really didn't know what to say to make him feel better. All along, she preferred to take everything upon herself and protect the others. However, she was at a loss whenever she was with Tristan. Due to the uncertainties, she wasn't even sure where she would end up in the future. Hence, she couldn't promise Tristan anything. You're so cruel, you know? I've already said so much, but you're still unwilling to commit to me. Tristan had never expected that he would end up wanting an 18-year-old girl to make a commitment to him. At that point, she didn't know what to say. Tristan wrapped his arms around her neck and kissed her on her lips. It's all right. I'm not trying to put pressure on you when I said that. I just want you to know that you're the only person I want to be with. After staying in that position for around 10 minutes, he let go of her and let her sit on the couch. If he were to keep holding her in his arms, he could lose his cool and devour her whole. Knowing that she was still young, he had to be patient and have some self-control. I'm sorry, but I need to take a shower. If you're sleepy, you should just go to bed first. I'll leave after I'm done showering, Tristan uttered. Sophie smirked when she saw him trying to flee the scene. If some other men were to get turned on by her, she wouldn't hesitate to end his manhood. However, since the man in question was Tristan, she found his reaction rather cute. At the same time, anticipation had grown in her. After taking a shower, Tristan couldn't help but smile wryly when he saw himself in the mirror. When did my willpower become so weak? Sophie was just sitting on my lap. It's not like she was doing anything to me, so why couldn't I control my urge? Tristan, are you really a monster? She's just an 18-year-old girl. What were you thinking? He asked himself. The moment he thought about her soft lips and slender waist, his mind was instantly filled with lustful thoughts. After showering, Tristan came out with a bathrobe on. Sophie isn't in the living room anymore. She must be in bed already, right? Although his emotions were telling him to stay, his mind was telling him to get out of there. Hence, he quickly put on his clothes and fled. When Sophie heard the door close, she got out of her room and went to the living room. As expected, he had already left. A bright smile then appeared on her face when she recalled his actions and reactions earlier. Tristan sent Sophie a text when he arrived home. Tristan, I'm home. Sleep early, okay? Sophie, okay. Tristan wasn't happy when he received the one-word reply. This girl is so heartless. I thought I'm a man with few words, but compared to her, it seems like I'm such a talker. It's okay though. All we have is time. I'll slowly involve myself in her life, and she'll get used to having me around." With those lustful thoughts in his mind, he ended up having wet dreams that night, and Sophie was in every one of those dreams. The next morning, Tristan was bewildered when he recalled those dreams he had. "I didn't even have a wet dream when I was a teenager." Nonetheless, those were some sweet dreams. Tristan, the legend of Gypsdale, ended up needing a cold shower that morning to calm his thoughts. In the meantime, Willow spotted Angie the moment she arrived at Gypsdale Premier High, and she couldn't help but frown. Didn't I already get her to transfer to another school? Everything was arranged for her back then, so what is she doing here now? Willow grabbed Angie's hand and dragged her into an alley. Angie let her lead the way. Although she didn't know where Willow was going, she knew she had a lot of things to say to her. "Angie, I've already arranged for you to transfer to another school, no? You could have started a new life. What are you doing back here? You have nothing to do with Gypsdale Premier High anymore. Do you think you'll have a peaceful life coming back here? Do you think Sophie is going to let you off the hook?" Willow was very emotional. As long as Angie doesn't come back, no one will find out about that incident. "Willow, I can't stay in that school. The students there only greeted me with punches and kicks. I can't stay there. Please help me." Angie was holding on to Willow's hand so tight that it was as if she was holding on to her last hope. Willow wasn't pleased. What is she doing? Does she need to do this? Why should I clean up the mess she has made in another school? "Angie, I believe I've done my part. Back then, you were the one who uploaded the photos on the forum, so it has nothing to do with me. I've already helped you, no? Why are you taking advantage of my kindness?" Willow pulled her hand away from Angie and warned, "I'm warning you. Don't ever show up in front of me again. Otherwise, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Also, watch your mouth. I'm sure you know what not to say." Angie stared at her in disbelief. If she didn't send those photos to me, how would everything happen? "Willow, if I'm going down, I'll be sure to drag you down with me. You'd better find another school for me. Otherwise, I'm going to come after you. Mason doesn't know about your misdeeds, right? Do you think you would still have a chance with him if he finds out about this?" With that, Angie turned around and left. So, this is Willow's true self. She's such a disgusting woman. After Angie left, Willow leaned against the wall and took a deep breath. Now, Mason is already treating me with such a bad attitude. If he finds out I was involved in those incidents, he'll never forgive me. Gypsdale is a huge place. I'm sure the Tanner family has the ability to make a small fry like her vanish into thin air. A chilling glare flashed across Willow's eyes when she murmured to herself, "Angie, you'd better watch what you do. If not, I won't show you mercy." Willow couldn't help but feel troubled when she thought about Mason's attitude toward her. That man's heart must be made of stone. How has he not softened up after all the time I've spent with him? When Willow got out of the alley, she bumped into her followers. "Willow, what were you doing in the alley?" one of them asked. Apparently, that alley was the place where most of the bullies in the school would settle their disagreements privately. What was she doing there alone? "It's nothing. Stop asking me about it," Willow answered. "Willow, I saw Angie just now. What is she doing back here? How would I know? Do you think I have the time for that?" Willow didn't want the conversation to continue, and she just wanted to get out of there. When she arrived at the school's entrance, she saw Angie there, staring back at her. Willow's heart skipped a beat. Why is she still here? Right then, Sophie and Isabel appeared at the entrance. Seeing that Angie was about to approach Sophie, Willow immediately ran toward Angie and grabbed her hand before dragging her out of there. Willow. Her followers were stumped. What just happened? Where did she go? After that, they started talking among themselves. What's going on? Why did Angie look for Willow? I heard Angie was having a tough time at her new school. Not only was she constantly bullied by the other girls, but they had also stripped her naked in public. In fact, Angie's life in her new school was far different from when she was in Gypsdale Premier High. There, the students would fight very often. Obviously, that wasn't an environment that a goody two-shoes like Angie could survive. Is it really that bad? Oh yes, it's that bad. However, how does any of it have to do with Willa? Although Willa is a kind person, what can she do to help? Could it be that Angie is bullying Willa? The conversation went on. Unsurprisingly, Sophie and Isabel had spotted Angie earlier on. Besides, they also heard the conversation Willow's followers were having. Serves her right. That's what she gets for talking bad about you. Isabel had no sympathy for Angie at all. Since she dared to hurt Sophie, she deserves every bit of hardship she gets. Sophie, on the other hand, didn't have anything to say. That was because Angie was not anyone important to her. If she didn't show up in front of Sophie that day, Sophie would have already forgotten about her existence. Angie transferred to Gypsdale High. That's the worst school in Gypsdale because most of the students there are gangsters, Isabel added. I'm not interested. Indeed, none of those so-called gangsters could compare to Sophie. All right, let's just forget about her. Whatever it is, she deserves it. That's what she gets for getting into bed with Willow. Isabel then went into the school with Sophie. Isabel, are you all right? Isabel didn't seem like her usual self that day, and she didn't eat much for dinner. I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? Don't worry, okay? Isabel didn't want Sophie to worry about her. Well, it's not like anyone can help me with what I'm going through. Sophie walked up beside Isabel and put her arm over her shoulders. Suddenly, Isabel felt aggrieved. Soph, do you know that if I could choose my own destiny, I would rather be born into an ordinary family? In that case, I can do what I like. Her father was livid because of the video taken in the karaoke bar. He thought she had done it on purpose. Sophie patted her shoulder and said, even if you are a Lombard, you can still do what you like. You have my support. No matter what the others had to say, she would still support Isabel. Okay. Isabel was touched. After the self-study session, Sophie received a call from Arius, and she wanted to look for him right away. However, she saw Tristan waiting for her outside the school when she was leaving. Why are you here? Since she was busy, she wouldn't leave with him even if he was there to fetch her. Upon hearing that, Tristan furrowed his brows. She doesn't seem like she wants me here. Otherwise, why would she have that expression on her face? What's wrong? Are you busy? Judging by the look on her face, Tristan could tell that she wasn't planning on going back to Wisteria Apartments. Yes. I need to pay someone a visit. Hence, whatever you came here for. Could we leave it for tomorrow? Sophie thought she had made herself clear. Felix didn't dare to utter a word after he saw the look in Tristan's eyes. Felix was there to apologize to Isabel because he was the reason the video went viral. However, he got a feeling that it was a mistake to go there. Can I leave now? Sophie glanced at Tristan. Tristan nodded. What else can I say? She's always so busy, and she has a lot of people to meet. I bet I don't even matter much to her. Sophie felt bad when she saw the look on his face. That being said, she was dealing with something that concerned Josiah. Hence, it was very important. How about this? Go over to Wisteria Apartments to wait for me, okay? Sophie had done something she had never done in her life. She had compromised because of how sad Tristan looked. Okay. No matter what you're going to do, take care of yourself. Tristan was happy with her suggestion. Even though he hoped that he would be able to head there with her, he decided not to press on since she said nothing. Sophie knew that Tristan wanted to go with her, but Arius was no ordinary person. Without Arius' permission, no one, including Sophie, could reveal his location to anyone else. Mr. Tristan, you can send her there. Why let a young woman like her take a cab to who knows where so late at night? Tristan shot him a look in response. Do I look like I needed you to prompt me to do that? It's only because Sophie doesn't want me to do it. That's what I mind the most. Right then, Isabel came out and saw Felix and her uncle. Are you all here to pick me up? Clearly, Tristan was not. But where's Sophie? Did they not come across her? Send her home safely, and don't let her linger around outside, was all Tristan said to Felix before getting into the car, ready to head to Wisteria Apartments and wait for Sophie there. Isabel then turned to Felix and scoffed at the man. She did not forget that they were both giving each other the cold shoulder. Moreover, she had tried to initiate reconciliation, but he ignored her completely. Isabel, I was the one who uploaded the video. Sorry. Felix was overwhelmed with guilt. All he wanted was to help her out, but his action ended up trapping her in a situation like this. Isabel scoffed again. Oh, she flatly said as if she was completely unfazed by the matter. Is there something else you want to talk about? If not, it's time for me to head home. My dad has given me a curfew. Felix pursed his lips, feeling helpless. I think I've really made a mistake. Belle, I really didn't mean to be so distant toward you. I just didn't know how to face you. Is that so? So, you know how to face me now? Felix was silent. If you don't, you might as well just give up. It's the best outcome for all of us. Then, without giving him a chance to respond, Isabel turned and got into the Lombard family's car. Felix remained rooted to his spot, thinking, maybe I'm really in the wrong. Perhaps we're not suitable for each other. Relationships can't be forced, and it's time for me to sober up. Meanwhile, Sophie had taken a cab to Cloud9 Hotel, where Arius was waiting for her. It only took Sophie a knock on the door before Arius opened it. He was wearing a white top with the two top buttons undone and a pair of black slacks. In those clothes, he looked like an intellectual, but there was also a tinge of slyness in his witty eyes. Dress yourself properly, Sophie huffed. What's wrong? I've already dressed decently, but you're still unhappy with my attire? If not for you, I wouldn't have even worn a shirt. Moreover, don't you know that many girls love the sight of my figure? You're full of complaints despite getting a free show. Don't you think that you're too much? Sophie was silent, pondering where he was getting his confidence from. Dressed properly? You're giving me the urge to wash my eyes with bleach. A beat later, Arius had no choice but to button up his shirt. I'd say you must have really low self-esteem. You're scared that you'd fall for my beauty, and that's why you're so picky with my clothes. Sophie did not know how to reply to that. He's so full of himself. I might as well let him wallow in his self-delusion. Arius then asked Sophie to take a seat on the couch before he filled a glass of warm water for her. Here's the thing. The Medical Association is about to have a medical summit in a few days, so I have to rush back to attend it. Therefore, I will have to perform your grandpa's surgery before I go back. Is that fine with you? Arius said without beating around the bush, knowing that Sophie was a busy young woman. She hummed as she tapped the desk languidly. Arius then sat down beside her and held her hand. You'd be at ease to hear that I'll be the primary attending surgeon for the surgery, right? Arius knew how important Josiah was to Sophie, and that was why he had spent a long time preparing for the surgery to the best of his ability. He was trying hard to minimize all the risks involved. It's not that I'm worried about your skills. After all, the one she was talking to was Arius Gullifer. How could she possibly not have trust in his skills as a surgeon? However, it was surgery at the end of the day, and surgery always came with risks. Trust me, Sophie. If I was able to pull you away from the hands of the Grim Reaper 4 years ago, I'd be able to save the one that matters the most to you 4 years later too. Sophie could only incline her head in response. All right, make the arrangements for the surgery, and I'll talk to my grandpa. Frankly, if Josiah did not undergo surgery, Sophie did not know how much longer he could hold out. The surgery was mandatory, and Arius was the most suitable one to be Josiah's primary attending surgeon. When Arius noticed the hesitant look on her face, he stood up and opened a bottle of red wine before giving her a glass of it. Then, when she was not paying attention to him, he added a little drug to it. "I don't feel like drinking," Sophie said, shaking her head when she saw the glass he was handing to her. "Just a little. This red wine is really smooth. I spent 3 million to get it. You've been too stressed out lately, and drinking a little alcohol will be good for you." Sophie did not have her guard up around Arius at all. The only person she trusted most besides Josiah was Arius. Thus, she took the glass from him and drank every last bit of the red wine. A few minutes later, she fell asleep on the couch. "I'm sorry, Sophie. I didn't want to do this to you, but I have to check you over." If not for her stubbornness, he would not have resorted to drugging her. Arius then hunched over to lift Sophie from the couch and placed her on the bed before giving her a checkup. After making sure that she was physically fine, Arius let out a sigh of relief and tucked her in. "Good girl, rest well. I'll help you protect the people you care about the most." At the very least, he was confident in his ability to do that. That night, Sophie had a long dream. Meanwhile, Tristan was getting more and more anxious as time ticked away. Sophie had asked him to wait for her at Wisteria Apartments, and that was why he had chosen to do nothing but trust her, believing that she would return. However, as time passed, Tristan was getting increasingly doubtful about his choice. Why? Where did she go? Did something happen to her? Unable to hold himself back anymore, Tristan called her. However, no one picked up his call. It was then that Tristan started panicking. He had never felt that kind of fear before. In the end, he sent his men to track her whereabouts, not because he had no trust in her, but because he was worried about her. Nevertheless, once he found out that she was in Cloud 9 Hotel's presidential suite with an unfamiliar man, Tristan's expression darkened. Instantly, he sped off to Cloud 9 Hotel. He could not stand the thought of her being with another man, no matter who he was. After getting down from the car, he went straight to the presidential suite and knocked on the door. When Arius heard the sound, he opened the door, only to be greeted with the sight of the enraged Tristan. Arius frowned. "Mr. Tristan? What's he doing here?" "Mr. Tristan, how may I help you?" While Tristan did not know who Arius was, that did not mean Arius was clueless about the former two. Tristan immediately narrowed his eyes to study the man in front of him. "Who are you? What are you trying to do?" Tristan was only worried that the man would hurt Sophie. Arius could not hold back his laughter when he noticed how tense Tristan was. "Are you trying to ask what kind of relationship Sophie has with me instead?" Tristan did not respond to him. Instead, his eyes flitted toward the bed behind Arius and realized that Sophie was indeed lying on it. Despite the loud commotion, Sophie was still asleep. At that, Tristan realized that something was amiss. "What have you done to her?" Tristan bellowed, his heart leaping to his throat. "Who are you, and what right do you have to ask all these questions?" So, is he the reason Sophie refused to join the medical association? At that point, Tristan did not want to waste any more of his breath on the man, so he began attacking Arius. Even though Arius was a medical student, he was quite skilled in fighting as well. A fight promptly broke out between the two of them. Nevertheless, no matter how good of a fighter Arius was, he was no match for Tristan. Soon, the latter had him sprawling on the floor. "Speak. What happened to Sophie?" Waves of anxiety were washing over Tristan's mind as he realized that Sophie was still not awake from the loud noises they made. He kept wondering what the man had done to her. Arius could not move an inch as Tristan kept him pinned on the floor, but he refused to admit defeat. "Why should I tell you anything? Aren't you worried about her? If so, find out what happened to her yourself." Upon hearing Arius' stubborn words, Tristan kicked his abdomen. "Ah!" Arius cried out in pain. "Shit!" Before he was done cursing at Tristan, Tristan lifted his leg, about to give him another kick. "Stop it. I know I'm a doctor, but it still hurts when I get kicked. Speak." No one could keep their secrets if Tristan was the one interrogating them. "She's fine. She'll wake up in the morning. I'm warning you now, don't do anything to me. Otherwise, Sophie won't let you off the hook when she wakes up." With how close Sophie and I are, she won't let anyone bully me like this. Arius felt utterly ashamed for suffering a complete defeat. Scram. The fact that Sophie came all the way there herself meant the two of them were not merely associates. That was why he could not jump to a conclusion based on merely his own speculations before Sophie regained consciousness. Nevertheless, once Sophie woke up and Tristan confirmed that the man had indeed harbored malicious intentions toward her, he would destroy the man. Arius rubbed his nose and muttered, "This is my room. Why do I have to leave? Even if one of us has to leave, shouldn't you be the one? So what if he's the renowned Mr. Tristan? I, Arius Gulliver, am not an easy target either. Just a call from me, and the top assassin will come and kill him." Tristan shot him a glare. Again, Arius scratched his nose awkwardly. "Fine. A good man knows when to retreat. Since no one can speak up for me while Sophie's asleep, I'll wait until she wakes up. Let's see if you're still going to be this haughty." Arius then exited the presidential suite and booked a different room. After entering the new room, he lay on the bed and slept. In the meantime, Tristan walked over to the bed to look at the sleeping woman. Then, he held her hand. "Girlie, how could you make others worry about you this much? I should have ignored her decision and come with her. This wouldn't have happened otherwise." For the first time in his life, Tristan was feeling regretful. After he planted a kiss on her forehead, the anger in him dissipated. It was as if nothing mattered anymore as long as he knew that she was fine. Tristan felt that it was strange for him to be acting that way. When Sophie finally woke up, she noticed Tristan sprawling at the edge of the bed, asleep. She mused, "He looks uncomfortable in that position." Then, she began recalling what had happened the night before. How did Tristan end up coming here? Where is Arius? Where did he go? Sophie then tried to get off the bed to head to the bathroom, but just as she moved a little, Tristan was jolted awake. Instinctively, he grabbed her hand. Her somewhat groggy look made Tristan's heart skip a beat, and he could not help but pin her under him. "Didn't you ask me to wait for you at Wisteria Apartments?" Tristan sounded a little resentful and piteous. Sophie scratched the back of her head as she, too, did not know how she ended up falling asleep there. "Sorry, I accidentally fell asleep here. I have no idea what's going on too. Have you seen my friend? The two of them must have encountered, right?" Seeing that Sophie was asking about her friend the moment she woke up, Tristan became upset. As a form of punishment, he bit the corner of her lips. "Is he more important than me? Why are you asking about him right after you wake up?" Tristan felt that it was no small matter, and he had to get an answer from Sophie. "Mr. Tristan." Sophie never thought that the mature and collected Tristan would ask a question like that. "This is unbelievable. He's making me change my impression of him. What's the matter?" "Is that a difficult question to answer?" Tristan insisted. Sophie was still pinned under him, and they were in a truly awkward position. "Let me get up first. I need to use the bathroom." Sophie was about to lose control of her bladder soon. "No. You have to answer me first. Who's more important to you?" "He's just like a kid. Am I supposed to console him?" "He's important to me," was what Sophie told him honestly. Hearing that, Tristan fell silent. Is that man really that important to her? Finally, he let go of her, and she sat up on the bed. When she noticed the sullen expression on his face, she scrambled for words to say to him. "Why does he have such a look on his face? Mr. Tristan, are you okay?" Tristan shook his head. "Not at all," he told her. He wanted to be the one who mattered the most in her life. At his response, Sophie scratched her head in confusion. A moment later, she silently went to the bathroom to wash up. Right then, Arius returned, for he knew that she would wake up around that time. Once Tristan caught a glimpse of the man, he scowled. That was what Sophie saw when she came out of the bathroom. A standoff between two extremely handsome men. Then, she spotted the injury on Arius' face, and the corner of her lips twitched. So, these two men have already fought, and Mr. Tristan emerged as the victor. When Arius realized that Sophie was out of the bathroom, he rushed to her side and pointed at Tristan. "Sophie, look. He's bullying me." Tristan was speechless. How can this man be so childish and a tattletale? Still, Sophie pretended not to have heard his words. After all, the other man was Tristan. Even if he bullied Arius, there was nothing she could do about it. Arius was instantly despondent when he saw Sophie ignoring him. "You're too much, Sophie. How can you side with an outsider and not me? I'm..." Sophie shot a look at him, and he promptly clamped his mouth shut. "I'm her senior, but what a sad life I lead. Humph. The two of you are so mean to me. I don't want to see you anymore. Leave." Arius fumed. "Okay, I'll leave then," Sophie said before turning around to actually leave. "Sophie, you're going too far." "I'm going too far? If you didn't drug me and make me sleep for so long, would I be oblivious to the two of you fighting here?"
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.